Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Just Not Career podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Gitonga, and you're about to dive into the world of PR. But a massive shout out to our amazing YouTube community. You've hit a remarkable milestone of 520 subscribers, and I'm deeply grateful for your unwavering support. And without, let's go for a round of applause. Yay! Now, whether you are streaming us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred platform, remember, we are right here with you. Today's episode showcases a true luminary in the field. Kevin Otiende, he is the managing director of Calla PR and has not only earned his stripes as top CEO, but he has also been recognized as one of the top 50 most influential CEOs in Kenya 2024. Imagine. And if that is not impressive, Kevin is also making waves on LinkedIn, where he is known for sharing valuable insights and inspiration. So get ready to uncover his remarkable journey from PR to community empowerment. And without further ado, let's connect with Kevin Otiende on our episode 5 of Just Not Career podcast. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode, and today we have an exciting person, someone I knew from not far long back, but he's called Kevin. He will introduce himself and then from there we go on. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks. It's so nice to be called Kevin. They've said so many things about Kina Kevo.
No, we don't want Kevo.
I know, man. Actually, the other day I was in a meeting, an introductory meeting where everybody was saying who they are and what they do. I was the last one to say, and as soon as I started with, so my name is Kevin, everybody burst out into laughter, and I'm like, what the hell did we do so wrong?
Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just but a name.
I know, it's
but
just
you do
a name,
good things.
A name for the late 80s.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Kevin, as you rightfully said. The managing director of strategic communications firm called Calla PR. This is we are going to our 7th year of business. I quit employment about 6.5 years back.
Wow.
And it's been a very exciting journey, just navigating the entrepreneurship world in Kenya and in East Africa. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I think we'll now dive in. And we'll start from the beginning. And you'll tell us, one, what was your childhood dream? And if that is what you pursued now in campus. Yeah, start from there.
If I pursued my childhood dream, I think we will not even be sitting here. When I was young, if I remember correctly, perhaps when I was five years old, there's one time my mom, I used to school in Langata. Very close to Wilson Airport. So as my mom picked me from school at about 4 p.m., I vividly recall when there was suddenly so much happening around us at the same time, with everybody running around, and we didn't understand, and everybody was ordered to stop, and we also stopped. So my mom held me quite close. There was cars like moving too fast. And I wondered what was happening, and then suddenly there's this guy who just came out of the car. Old guy, I think, beige suit, and I wondered who the hell is this guy that we've all been told to stop for as he's passing, and why does he even want to talk to us?
Okay.
So it occurred to me that was the first time I was seeing President Moi at the time, and I was so fascinated by that. And when we tried to get close, of course, security holds you back. Then I was like, I liked how those guys jumped out of moving cars. I was so fascinated by that. So I wanted to be a presidential bodyguard initially.
Wow.
When I was 5. That's the first thing I remember. Excuse me. So then my mom told me, I'm sorry, young man, but you cannot be a policeman because you're asthmatic. Because I had congested chest half the time, in and out of hospital in my formative years. So my mom just knew He's headed nowhere if he wants to become a policeman or a military guy. Then when she gave me the answer, I was like, but there's a different group of people who are getting so close to the president and he's not getting irritated by anything and they're not being restrained. And they had these big things over their shoulders, and then I realized these guys are called journalists, and that is how I wanted to become a journalist. That is the only dream I had for as long as I could remember. So throughout primary, throughout high school, I was always working towards becoming a journalist or working in the media. And that's how my career started, because I managed at least to get good grades and go to University of Nairobi, where I studied journalism and mass communication. And coincidentally, this same building we are having this conversation at is where I got my first paying job.
Wow.
So I remember just walking in here sometime in 2010 for an interview, and I got the job. And I left, I stayed in media for about 5 years. Of course, before that, I volunteered at Capital Online for a while, and I think that just gave me the desire to try and get more. Then I got my first proper job here, and I stayed here for about 5 years before I moved to a marketing agency as the head of PR, which was a sharp transition, because when you're a journalist, you're only used to getting stories out of the way. Now I get this nice paying job in a marketing agency, and suddenly I'm in charge of leading a team. Secondly, I'm in charge of revenue, profit and loss, things that you really don't even get to discuss in the media. I'm in charge of strategy. I'm supposed to do plans and all, and I'm like, oh, it's a whole new spectrum. It was very challenging in the beginning, because it's a very fast-moving environment. In short, you swim or sink. And I decided to stay afloat, and in the process I just fell in love with the profession. And 2 years after joining the marketing agency, I think I grew too quickly, because I'm a bit of a sponge of sorts. I absorb so much, especially when I'm quiet. I just like to absorb and understand my environment, and in 2 short years I'd already learned the ropes, and I felt I was ready to take a leap of faith. It was a big fat risk, but somehow things fell into place, and as soon as I jumped, the clients that I'd been working with just followed through and joined me in my new outfit, Calla PR. It coincided with the birth of my daughter a few weeks earlier. So when I was looking for a name, I decided to just call the company Calla PR, and it's really grown. I think many times when I'm in malls or supermarkets or in traffic, I meet people who don't remember my name, so they just end up shouting, "Mr. Calla, how are you?" And I'm like, oh, that's we've gone through a very long journey and process to give meaning to the name, and to make sure that everybody gets to know about us and what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just go back a little bit. From campus to Calla PR, how many jobs have you had?
Okay, so while in campus, I volunteered at Capital Online.
Okay.
Before that, my brother was kind enough to give me a desktop at his office in View Park Towers. I thoroughly, when I look back at what my brother was doing, I was like, this man was just truly selfless, because I used to he only had a desktop and a desk which he was renting at View Park Towers. It was a co-working space, one of the original co-working spaces. And I used to think he has a lot of computers, but every time I went to use his computer, he used to leave me there. So much later is when I realized this guy only had one computer, and he wanted me to feel like I'm working. He had a small IT outfit called Intercare Solutions. So I started with just basically understanding how to operate a computer there. Because at the university, yes, we did have computers, but the ratio was like 1 to 20. For every one computer, there's 20 students who need to use it, so we hardly ever got time. Internet was not as fast as it is today. So I really appreciated how much opportunity he gave me to learn to use computers. And then while there is when I got the Capital FM writing job, hooked up my former lecturer. Is called Professor Abuga. He just called me one day at night and told me there's a friend of mine called Ken Masharia, works for Capital FM. He's looking for people who can be submitting articles for a new product or platform that they call Capital Campus. So ideally we're supposed to gather stories of what's happening in campuses. Because I was in Nairobi University, and I used to also intern at Multimedia University, so I was uniquely positioned to get enough content from those two institutions. University of Nairobi was a very high pressure environment. There was so much happening, so we never ran out of content. Then while at Capital is when I heard about the opportunity here at what was then CCTV Africa. It's now CGTN. And actually, the moment I said the moment I say that I work for Capital, I saw the room light up, and they just gave me the job. They were looking for somebody at least with media experience. So from here I stayed about 4 or 5 years, then went to PMS Group. From PMS Group, now that's where I quit to go into entrepreneurship, and that's how I started Calla PR. So I haven't really had high turnover, self turnover,
Which is okay.
Yeah.
So for you now to decide, I want to start Calla PR, you can give us the skills that you had gotten from other jobs, so that now you're able to say, I'm now ready to now form Calla PR and do it as it is right now.
There's something grossly overlooked, both by institutions of higher learning and even organizations, and it's something simply called strategy. If you know how to do strategy of whatever business, because strategy makes you understand your consumer or whoever needs whatever product or solution that you have. Most people really don't take much time to understand what they are serving. It's more like being a waiter in a hotel and serving really good meals that you know nothing about their preparation. And I think most people, I would estimate, tend to be like that. So number one thing you need to know is, what exactly is your business, and what is the strategy of your business? What are we offering? How is it important? Who needs it? And in what format do they need it? Who am I competing against? And how better can I do it? It's as simple as that. I learned that very quickly as soon as I joined the marketing agency, because ideally we help businesses meet objectives, advance their agenda. Now, you invest so much time in understanding everything about the market, from you and your solution or product to whoever needs it, to what they are currently getting, and whether in fact what you're offering is necessary in the first place. A lot of times we come up with solutions that nobody needs. We have a bit of a culture of copy-pasting, where I saw Nancy do podcasts and suddenly I think I can also do podcasts. Or I saw Diana doing photography, videography or production, and suddenly I want to do what she's doing because it's working for her. You haven't asked if it is needed and if it's also gonna work for you. After understanding strategy, you need to invest a lot of time in research. You need to know if something that you're saying can work actually truly works, and the efficacy of the same, because the last thing you need is some backlash of sorts. The other skill I would say is necessary. I don't even know whether to call it a skill, but self-improvement is so important. I learned self-improvement when I became a leader, because one, your competition is not sleeping. And even here, I like to tell my team, we should always assume that the next person is not sleeping while they're competing against us. And I like to assume that the next person who's competing against me is better, is faster, and is probably even cheaper than me. Now, if you scare yourself enough with those three things, you understand what you need to do to try and be better, to be faster, and to be cheaper. And lastly, which is crucial again, is just having a commercial mindset. I always say, just follow the money. Just follow the money. This thing for passion, I don't buy this narrative of passion at all. I do not buy it at all. If your passion doesn't really pay bills, we live in a very fast world. We live in a very expensive world. Literally 10 shillings today, I'm not sure even if 10 shillings can buy you chewing gum anymore. There was a time 10 shillings could buy you bread. It can't buy chewing gum now. So if you do not have that commercial sense to everything, and even when you're preaching the gospel of passion, just know that passion needs to lead to some money at some point, in the right format. Again, we live during trying times where people are trying to get through shortcuts to make money quickly, and they're forgetting there's a whole process. I had a meeting last week where some very senior people who are trying to get into entrepreneurship were asking me if I could give them one piece of advice. I told them, just have patience. It will not be overnight. It will not be fast. You need to let it mature and give it time to grow.
Okay. So with that, are you able to tell us, by the time now you've given your time to Calla PR, basically now you've decided I'm doing Calla PR, so how long did it take for you now to say, okay, I'm now doing the right thing?
Okay, so that's a good question. To be honest, that question has no timelines. And again, I like to say life really has no formula. There's a lot of making mistakes, and I find it funny when I'm speaking somewhere, and then during the Q&A, people ask, so how do we avoid these mistakes? And I'm like, why the hell do you need to avoid any mistake? Make it, mistakes refine you. Mistakes make you avoid them next time. But do not be scared to make mistakes. Do not be scared to fail. I think very many people that we know, every triumphant story of an entrepreneur, there's hundreds of mistakes made along the way. So they should not scare you. They should actually give you a spirit to fight and keep moving. They say one step backward, 2 steps forward, we are still advancing. We're still advancing. So I think that's the attitude that people should go with. But I'll tell you that when I'm talking patience, it's actually very elastic patience. Have no limit as to how patient you can be. A business is like a child. Your child gets bad grades, you will still pay for school fees and wait for exams and all that. Somehow you still need to make sure you nurture them. A child is born and there's a whole process of changing diapers, things you probably thought you could never do. There's so many midnight trips to the clinic. That doesn't mean you were tired yesterday, you can't take your child to the clinic. So business, if I was to use any analogy, is just like nurturing a tiny little human being to maturity. If I was to put it any other way, thing is, year 1 and 2, there's a lot of trial and error. Year 3, there's some semblance of normalcy. I remember one of the first mistakes I did was to employ my friends. And these are people we used to borrow each other fare from when we were broke. This is someone I used to ask, ukona so moja, I'll give you back next week. And now suddenly you're a boss. They struggle, and you can't even blame them, but they struggle to understand how now you're my boss. And a lot of times I would get Niaje bro, I'm not around today and tomorrow, and I'm like, and I'm supposed to be your boss, and you're texting me you're not around. You're even calling me bro. We are not brothers. We are here to work. Year 4 is an acceleration towards maturity. I think you've already stood the test of time. So here is where you have no brakes and no reverse gear. The car has to move. The car just has to move. I think year 5 is the year of maturity, because this is where you have systems. This is where you're known in the market. This is where you learn to innovate, and you'd be surprised. Yes, year 5 is actually when you learn to delegate. When you start a business, the first 3-4 years, you're everything. You understand your solution and product, so you want to do everything yourself. You struggle, and when people make mistakes, you lose patience in a snap. But by year 5, you understand that I also need these people to make mistakes for them to grow. I think when you get to year 6, it's more about growth. It's more about year 6 has a mix of both. The first 5 years, you're going for the client. If you survive this, year 6 has a lot of, now the clients are looking for you because they Google your brand or name, and then they see what you do. So they're also looking for maturity, they're looking for legacy, they're looking for capacity. And that truly does start year 6 upwards, if you ask me, based on my own experience.
That you have now. Okay. With that experience, you're able to tell us the proud moments you've had in accomplishing for Calla PR, and then you tell us the biggest challenge you've ever had when you are in Calla PR.
Okay, so we do have a lot of proud moments, to be honest. Some are personal, some are collective. The nature of our work, we are sitting at a very strategic position where we deal with organizations and groups and individuals who are doing mega things, and we are helping them to reach their objectives. These are people involved in universal health coverage. These are people creating jobs. One signature is able to create 1 million jobs. One innovation idea is able to make sure that places as remote as Wajir can have cesarean section performed at night, something that wasn't possible, in fact, for all of humanity, for all of our history. So each one of this is unique, is very special, and there's a lot of proud moments. It's more like, I was telling you, it's more like raising a child. They have their first giggle, you want to address the media. Like, ladies and gentlemen, my daughter just laughed. They start walking, again, you want to call for a family meeting. They start winning, like every moment, there's a lot of turns that are just quite fulfilling. I will not, because of that, I will not particularly say there is one very distinctly proud moment, because everything that we do is just has the potential to be so important to what the cause might be. There have been very many challenges.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of challenges. If you look behind me, I have a saying there: I do not know how to suffer. Not to say I have not suffered. I just don't know how to suffer even in the process of suffering.
Yeah.
So I do not really see challenges as things that want to bring me down, but that should refine me to be better. Some of them, especially when running a business, you'll be surprised. These days, it might be easier to get a business than to get the right people to do the work. That's a serious challenge that we have, and it's because I take it back to how our curriculum is wired, and to the fact that not so many people have a culture of self-improvement. A lot of our generation is working in silos, and that's really not it's not the ideal situation. Young people have a tendency to think that when you do something great for your organization, you're doing it for the boss. I've never looked at it that way. I'm doing it for me, and I'm going to own it. And I always say, please own your successes. Do not wait for anybody to, clap for you. Just own your success. Talk about what you do. Use every platform that you have. If you're big on YouTube, if you're big on LinkedIn, if you're big on TikTok, we no longer live in that generation where you could only be known through the media. Now we have a lot of social media platforms. You can own your space. That's why we have, blogs that are driving millions in traffic in the same country, the Instagram accounts. So please own your successes and use your platform. Somebody will notice and somebody will come for you. The other challenge I talk about, of course, running a business in Africa, you need funding as anywhere else in the world. Funding is not readily available here. One, because we might be offering solutions that nobody really needs, and when we're offering solutions that anybody needs, your idea could be stolen. Somebody might fund you with different intentions. So you need to always safeguard yourself against this copyright infringement. Maybe if you have an idea, just make sure that keep it close to your chest until you're ready to go to market. Access to capital, in short, is what I'm saying. Access to capital is not guaranteed here. One, because even financiers need something that has been in motion for a while. So you don't just show up with a PowerPoint presentation and expect $5 million. Have you tested it? What has been the uptake? Have you done any stress tests? Basically, how is it protected? Because anybody with money needs some form of guarantees and protection. So you don't need to look at it negatively. Always look at it from they have a point. Even when people criticize or critique my idea, and they're so heavily critical while doing so, I like to look at what can I pick out from them. What works for me based on what the feedback I'm getting, what doesn't, and how do I just basically merge the two and come up with a really good plan.
I think while we are now winding up, we are now going to the personal side, and you can tell us how you are able to manage your work-life balance and what you're passionate about or hobbies that you have outside Calla PR.
Okay, so work-life balance, especially in this era of mental health and mental wellness, work-life balance is important. Traditionally Africans, I don't think we were used to opening up and talking about our problems. In fact, sometimes I wonder how our parents did it. Right now, you need to speak up and communicate about your feelings. And you might lose somebody just because they felt there was nobody listening to them. So I must say that in the interim stages, there's some period of sacrifice you need to make where work-life balance will only exist as a theory. Practicing it is not easy, and it's understandable because you could say you want to take a break for a week. Maybe you haven't closed any deal in months, and then you're told that the break will give you 1-2 million shillings, and you have to make the decision on whether you'll still go on the break or you're gonna take the chance to close the deal. So that happens quite a lot in the initial stages. But as you grow the business, which is why it is important to invest in your business for it to grow naturally, for it to also attract talent, because once you get the right talent, you're able to delegate. I'm big on, so there's I don't know whether to call them perks, but there's advantages of being an entrepreneur. Like the room behind you, I have an inflatable mattress. If I want to sleep, I'll just lock my door and go take a nap. If I want to come at 10 in the morning and leave earlier or leave at midnight, I'm gonna do that. So I plan according to even what I'm feeling for that day sometimes. If you learn to delegate, you will have a lot of opportunities to do other things that contribute to your wellness, because you need to be a whole human being, if I was to put it that way. More specifically, I think I'm a huge fan of road trips. I'm always on the move. It's pretty hard to keep up with my schedule. Even when you're my driver, it's not easy to move me around because I'm always on the move. I can just wake up at any time and tell you, can we go have nyama in Kikopei for lunch and come back? Can we dash to Nanyuki and come back? Can we take a flight to Kampala and be back in the evening? So I'm always on the move. I maintain a very punishing schedule for people who can't move as fast as I do. I'm always on the move. I don't like to feel stuck. I'm finding a lot of so we're in Africa. We have a lot of problems here. Problems that at the moment the system is overwhelmed in terms of solving and resolving. I just read an article yesterday of some girl who tried to commit suicide 3 times because she got good grades, KCP, and she hasn't gotten school fees yet. I know of a boy from Pokot who repeated class 8 4 times, each time getting more than 350 marks, just so he doesn't want to stay home and get bored and go into banditry maybe. He needs to keep himself busy. I met a gentleman a week ago from Kayole who told me that in the last, I think, 5 years, they've rescued newborn babies from dump sites. Breathing newborns. I think 12 breathing newborns, if I remember. 12 breathing babies thrown at a dump site and then just found on top of garbage. Very tiny beings. And you can imagine what can happen under such circumstances. All these things happen because we are not moving as fast as the rest of the world in terms of development. There's a lot of desperation that is leading to teenage pregnancies, to crime. I met a young man yesterday who's doing great stuff in Dandora as a dance choreographer and trainer, and he's only 20, and he told me he knows more than 10 of his age mates shot dead because of crime, lynched, stabbed, basically just because of crime, right? At 20, you can imagine a 20-year-old has seen all that. In fact, I think he was supposed to attend a funeral after meeting me, and I'm like, dude, you're only 20, you've seen so much. These things in isolation and collectively put together have kind of brought out spirit in me to try and have an impact everywhere I go. Empower single mothers to set up small businesses, pay school fees for many young people, basically get people jobs when I can, and they are quite fulfilling, I'll tell you, quite fulfilling to see the impact of our small actions. Quite often it's the small little things put together that make the greatest impact. So I think sometimes we think that helping has to be in a big way. It can actually be in a very small way. You never know how you touched somebody's life.
Yeah, we're almost done now. You can tell us your future as a personal, like your personal goal for the future, and also for Calla PR.
Good. Calla PR wants to be known in every country in Africa and Europe and Asia and the Americas. We go by a simple mission to accompany businesses in Africa to their success, whether they are indigenous businesses or international businesses. We are uniquely and strategically positioning ourselves as the gateway between you and your success here in Africa. So we have a very robust plan to try and achieve this, and we are going to work day and night to make sure that we get the job done. We believe in the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement that seeks to collapse the African market into one single customs market. And I think 1.2 billion people reside in Africa. By 2050, 1 in 3 people in the world will be from Africa. So it's the last frontier. You're either doing business in Africa or you're not succeeding. So we want to position ourselves for that. There's a growing interest in this continent, and we want to tell the African story. I've been to many countries where they see a black man like me and they're like, how is the situation there? Is there still fighting in I don't know where? Is Mandela out of prison? Like, they just don't even know anything about Africa. I do not really blame them, because I believe we have to tell our own story. As a person, perhaps in future, I want to be in a position to do more, especially at policy level, legislative level, and even further up than that. So I will plot my path to positions that I know will make me deliver the most impact. I do not like to do it in isolation. I want to be able to do things that affect everybody.
Okay, so Kevin, where can we find you, or where can we find Calla PR, and also where can we find you? Do you have any social media links that we can also follow you?
I do. I think social media has made me a bit of a famous guy, especially LinkedIn, and I go by my government names on all my social media platforms. I'm not those people of Kevo PR. I'm a Puiti Puis or La Femme. Those cute fancy names that people give themselves on social media. So you can I go by Kevin Otiende on all my social media platforms. Calla PR does go by its official name on all our platforms as well, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay.
Yes.
So Calla PR is CALLA PR.
In person, I don't know where you can find me in person.
But LinkedIn,
all over the place.
From LinkedIn, someone can. Okay. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And guys, I'm at the corner office, so it's a good thing to be here.
It takes a few years to get to the corner office. But the goal
6
is to
years,
succeed.
guys. 6 years. My
parting shot is we need to stop this culture of, to all my haters out there, nobody's really hating on you. Please note that poverty is the enemy.
Yes.
Poverty is the enemy. Do everything possible to get yourself out of poverty and just succeed. Cleanse yourself out of any desolation and just go forth and succeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, guys, we call it a wrap.
Thank you.
And with that, guys, it brings us to the end of another enlightening episode here on Just Not Career podcast. I hope you found inspiration in Kevin Otiende's incredible journey and insights. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with your friends, and keep the positivity flowing. Also, stay tuned for more incredible stories and insights in the world of Just Not Career podcast. And until our next meeting, keep chasing your dreams. And also remember, life is just not career.